Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Thursday, January the 27th. Now we just have a two-game slate for Thursday, but as always guys, we are going to talk through each one of these two games, kind of break down each team, give my early thoughts, what I do like, taking a first look at this slate on Wednesday night. And then as we do go through each game, we will bid out an early core. We'll talk about 5 players I specifically like for both DraftKings and for Yahoo at first look. But as always, guys, I appreciate you watching the video. Hit the like button down below. Always appreciate all the likes. If you're new to the channel, make sure you do click that subscribe button as well. And if you have not yet, go check out the sponsor of the video, PrizePicks. So PrizePicks, a newer DFS site, more focused on player props. So you're basically just picking the over or the under on players' projections. If you have a lean one way or the other, they do already have a lot of projections posted for these two games. Pretty much, most of their boards posted already. They will add fantasy point projections probably sometime Thursday morning. You can check that out. Check those out as well. But they have point projections, rebounds, points, rebounds plus assists. So all added up together. They have assist projections. They have 3-pointers made as well. Again, you're just picking the over or the under. You have to make at least 2 picks. If you can make up to 5 picks, you can win up to 10 extra money on PrizePicks. So if you guys do want to sign up over there, use code Noah when you do, and PrizePicks will match your first deposit. They will give you a free bet up to $100 when you sign up with my code. And if you guys want some of my favorite picks each day on PrizePicks, along with the entries that I am playing myself, that I'm putting my own money on, I give all those out on Patreon. You can check that out. Link down below in the description. All of my PrizePicks plays, along with my updated DFS content, that is all provided over on Patreon. But yeah, guys, let's talk through these two games real quickly. We'll start off with the first game of the night, the Lakers and the Sixers. So this is another 2-game slate where both games are nationally televised. They're both on TNT, so it's like one game after the other. So lock is at 7:30. First game of the night is at 7:30 Eastern, and then following that game is when the second game will start at 10 o'clock Eastern. So kind of a fun slate. You have one game starting, and then the next game following that. We'll start off with the first game, the Lakers and the Sixers. So looking at the Lakers today. This is a team I think this is probably the least appealing team on the slate, just because now that the Lakers are fully healthy, they have Anthony Davis back. He is probable for today. He's expected to play. I don't know if Anthony Davis coming back hurts LeBron too much. I still think LeBron can put up good numbers. LeBron had a really good game last game, even with AD back. Put up 61 DraftKings points in 34 minutes. I still think LeBron's usage is going to be great. I think he's going to, be out there taking 20, 25 shots a night. He's obviously going to play, big minutes if it's a close game. The peripherals maybe come down a little bit. Maybe his rebounds come down with AD back. We saw him only get 7 rebounds in that game against Brooklyn, but he's still going to stuff the stat sheet. On a 2-game slate, obviously LeBron is in play now. I think I would rather play Embiid on the other side of this game, who we'll talk about in a second, but I definitely like LeBron on this slate. Anthony Davis is going to be tough to go to. He was on a minutes limit in his first game back, played 25 minutes. I'm guessing he'll be on somewhat of a minutes limit again. Maybe he plays like 28, 30 minutes, but in 9,800, you can't really play Anthony Davis at this price point while he's being limited. So no interest in AD. Russell Westbrook's just a tough guy to trust right now. He wasn't that great last game, only 28 DraftKings points in 33 minutes. Russell Westbrook has just been so inconsistent this year. I don't think AD coming back is great for Westbrook. I think it'll be good for maybe his assist numbers, but his usage is going to go down. It's a 2-game slate. I think you could go there if you just want to throw a dart on Westbrook. But to say I have confidence in Westbrook, that's not really the case. So not a big fan of Westbrook in general. Malik Monk coming off the bench. He actually played pretty well last game. Shot the ball really well. 7 for 13 from the field. 6 for 12 from 3. I think on a 2-game slate, this is your typical kind of GPP value play that you can go to. Now, a lot of nights Malik Monk's going to disappoint, but he can have those games where he does shoot the ball really well. We saw when he was starting and playing big minutes, he was consistently putting up huge games. They've moved him back to the bench now, and his production hasn't been as good lately, but I still think that upside is there. What we saw from Malik Monk last game, he can still do that on a nightly basis. So I think of the Lakers value plays, Malik Monk's probably the guy that I'm most confident in. Carmelo Anthony probably wouldn't go there, even on a 2-gamer. He probably plays 24, 25 minutes. At 4,300, he's cheap enough to where I don't mind throwing some shots on Carmelo. But if I was playing one lineup today, I doubt I'd really get to Carmelo or probably any of these other Lakers. These are just guys you're gonna throw darts on in GPPs. Austin Reeves off the bench probably plays around 20, 25 minutes. Doesn't have much upside, but if he gets hot, you could randomly catch a 25-point game from Austin Reeves, but not really confident in him. Same could be said for THT and Trevor Ariza. Stanley Johnson started last game, played 28 minutes, but he wasn't that productive, just 10 DraftKings points. Even if Stanley Johnson starts again, I wouldn't really be that excited about him as a value play. So there's not much to like from the Lakers. I think really we're going to be looking to LeBron here. I think Malik Monk as a value play is okay. But like Westbrook, I'm not excited about. Anthony Davis, while he's being limited, you can't really go to. Carmelo's just been so inconsistent. I mean, I guess you could go there on a 2-game slate. But LeBron's the guy that really stands out from the Lakers today. Then on the Sixers side, looking at Philly, so Joel Embiid at 11,400, I think is my favorite pay-up option on this slate. You have Embiid, you have LeBron, you have Steph Curry, you have Kat. I think Embiid's my favorite of those 4 guys. 11.4 on DraftKings. On Yahoo, he's a little bit cheaper than LeBron, $53 over on Yahoo. I mean, Embiid's just been so good lately. I will say that with Anthony Davis coming back, that's going to make this Lakers defense better, especially against bigs. Like I think it's not nearly as good of a spot for Embiid if AD would have been out. But I still think Embiid can crush here. I mean, his usage has just been so good. You look at the field goal attempts, like he's just taking a ton of shots every single night. He's getting a ton of rebounds. He's been getting assists as well. He's just doing everything. He's stuffing the stat sheet every night. The minutes have been huge. Love Embiid here at 11.4. I mean, the Lakers, I don't think they're really going to have an answer for Embiid. He should be able to dominate. So he's my favorite pay-up option on this 2-game slate. I like him quite a bit. I think Tobias Harris as a mid-range option makes plenty of sense. I mean, if this is a close game, Tobias Harris is going to play 35, close to 40 minutes. We've seen the Sixers running a really tight rotation as of late. They've basically been running like an 8-9-man rotation. So Tobias Harris should play big minutes. I think it's 7.3. He's probably my second favorite play from Philly, if you could fit him in. Tyrese Maxey, another guy that should just play a ton of minutes, probably 35, close to 40 minutes if it's a close game. I think his price point probably where it should be, whereas I think Tobias Harris is maybe a little bit cheaper than he probably should be, but Maxey, just for the minutes he's going to get, is viable. Court Moss, I think is a value play, is someone I do have some interest in. 4,800 on DK. I mean, I like this matchup for Court Moss. The Lakers so far this season, they have been playing at a pretty fast pace. They're third in pace on the season. Philly, on the other hand, I don't think they've been a fast-paced team at all. They're actually towards the bottom of the league in pace. So this is a big-time pace-up spot for the Sixers. A guy like Court Moss, when he really has good games, it's because he shoots the ball really well. He's not going to do too much else except shoot, but I think in these type of matchups against fast-paced teams, like these are the kind of spots that Court Moss can definitely thrive in. And at 4,800, I think this price point, probably he doesn't get much ownership. I mean, he's going to get some ownership because it's a 2-game slate, but I don't think he's like massive chalk today. The minutes are going to be there. He's going to play 35, close to 40 minutes if the game's close. Again, the Sixers are just running such a tight rotation right now. You're seeing big minutes for Embiid, big minutes for Tobias Harris. Maxey's playing big minutes. Court Moss is playing big minutes. Like all those guys quite a bit. I think Court Moss at 4,800 looks like a pretty decent value play. On Yahoo, he is really cheap over there, so I definitely like Court Moss on Yahoo. He's only $11 on Yahoo, so I think he's a really good value over on Yahoo. But then looking at some of the other cheap Sixers, Andre Drummond, it's a 2-game slate, so I guess you could go there. If he plays like 15 minutes, he could definitely put up like 25 DraftKings points. I don't feel great about it, but these are the kind of guys that on a 2-game slate could definitely be viable. Normally, I would never play Drummond, but with how few options we have, like he's in play, I think more like a GPP dart throw. Matisse Thybulle, you would think probably starts again, especially because they're going to want him out there guarding LeBron. These teams I don't think have played yet this season, so we haven't really seen these teams play yet. But I think in this type of matchup against LeBron, you're probably going to want Thybulle out there. Thybulle did play 33 minutes last game. Now, Thybulle's never really been a good producer on a point-per-minute basis. Usually when he has good games, it's because he gets defensive stats. And, when he put up 29 DraftKings points against Boston, it was mainly due to him getting 5 steals and 2 blocks. Now, if he's out there for 33, 34 minutes, there's always a possibility that he picks up, 2, 3, 4 blocks, a couple steals. At 3,600, I don't feel great about Thybulle, but again, it's a 2-game slate. We don't really have a ton of value right now, so I think he is someone that actually is playable today. If you are looking for a cheap option, I think Thybulle is in play. I think they're going to play him pretty good minutes because they're going to want him out there guarding LeBron. And then Danny Green right now is questionable. If he gets ruled out, I don't think that really matters too much. It would just kind of tighten up this Philly rotation even more. Maybe would make me feel a little bit better about Thybulle, but that's probably it from the Sixers. I think we talked about really everyone I kind of have interest in this game. We can move on to the late night game, the Timberwolves and the Warriors. So looking at Minnesota today, we do have some injury news to watch from Minnesota. Really, this is the only injury news that we're waiting for, at least as of now. And that is Patrick Beverley and Jalen Noel are both questionable. Normally, if this was a big slate, these injuries wouldn't really matter. But on a 2-game slate, these injuries are actually pretty important because, if Beverley and Noel are both out, I think there'd be a lot of minutes available for Malik Beasley. Now, Malik Beasley has not really been getting much run lately. We saw, during the stretch when Minnesota was hit hard with COVID protocols, Malik Beasley was playing huge minutes every night. Ever since then, and ever since the team has gotten healthy again, his minutes have definitely kind of tailen off. But I think if Beverly and Noel both sit, Beasley probably plays like high 20s minutes off the bench, and he's only 3,600. I think he would be one of the better value plays on this slate if we do get Noel and Beverly both out. Now, if Beverly and Noel both play, then I'm not as interested there. I think Beverly himself at 4,200 would look like a pretty good value play. I think these teams have played this year, and so far, when they've played Golden State, Beverly's been getting good minutes, and I think that kind of makes sense because you kind of want Beverly out there chasing Steph around, trying to, make Steph's life as hard as possible, trying, make things tough for him. So I think if Beverly does play here, he's actually going to be a pretty good value play. He probably would get 25, close to 30 minutes. Again, they're going to want him out there guarding Steph, and he's only 4,200. Like, that's pretty cheap for Patrick Beverly. He's normally a guy that we see priced like in the 5K range. So I think Beverly, if he plays, is a really good value. I think if Beverly and Noel are both out, then we can look to Beasley for value. But talking about the top tier guys, Karl-Anthony Towns at 9,200. Probably more of a tournament play on this slate. Like, I would definitely put Embiid ahead of Cat. I would put LeBron ahead of Cat. Between Cat or Steph, like, I might side with Cat, especially since he's a bit cheaper. 9,200. I think this price point for Cat's probably where it should be. But I think the minutes are going to be there. He's going to play 35, 36 minutes if this is a close game. The matchup against Golden State, especially without Draymond Green, I think's decent for Cat. Like, I think he can actually have some success here. Last time these teams played about a week ago, it was a blowout. Minnesota won by 20. Cat only played 30 minutes, but he was really productive in those 30 minutes, had 46 DraftKings points. So I think a Draymond Green-less Warriors team, this is definitely a decent spot for Cat. So probably would put him third on my list in terms of studs behind Embiid and behind LeBron. He would probably fall third behind those guys. Anthony Edwards at 8,100, I actually do have some interest in today. Now, he's coming off a massive game against Portland where he went for 40 points, 9 rebounds, 3 blocks, 3 steals, 65 DraftKings points from Anthony Edwards. Obviously, I'm not expecting him to put up 65 DraftKings points again, but we know this is the kind of ceiling that Anthony Edwards has. We know he can put up these big games any night. Now, he's obviously been a kind of inconsistent player this season. He'll have big games, and then he'll have kind of, just mediocre games. But that massive ceiling from Anthony Edwards always makes him a viable option, in my opinion. At 8,100, like, I think him and D'Angelo Russell are pretty similarly priced, or not similarly priced, but pretty, in terms of projection, they project pretty similarly. I maybe give a slight edge to Edwards just because I think Edwards' ceiling is a little bit higher than Russell's. I think maybe Russell's floor is a little bit higher, so maybe if you're playing cash, like, you probably play Russell. If you're playing tournaments, I think in GPPs, I would side with Edwards. But in the end, it would all come down to ownership. On a 2-game slate, I think both these guys will be pretty decently owned. Maybe side with Edwards here, though, at 8,100. Do like him a decent amount on this slate. And I think on Yahoo, at the small forward position, I think he looks like one of the better small forwards. If you can't pay up for LeBron on Yahoo, I would for sure probably go to Anthony Edwards. He'd be my second favorite small forward over on Yahoo. But yeah, like D'Angelo Russell, firmly in play as well. No issues with him at 7,500. Jared Vanderbilt, 5,500. I really haven't been on Vanderbilt lately. Now, he has had some good games as of late. 44 fantasy points last game against Portland. 33 fantasy points against Brooklyn in 32 minutes. His minutes have actually been pretty good this year. He's been playing into the 30s in minutes most nights. He'll get like 32, 34 minutes if it's a close game. At 5,500, like, I think Vanderbilt's price probably where he should be. His floor is not great. You'll see a lot of games where Vanderbilt does, put up like 20 DraftKings points, but, he does still offer a big ceiling. He's a guy that can get a lot of putbacks. He's always, fighting for rebounds. He can get defensive stats as well. I think Vanderbilt's a fine option. He's not like my favorite play from this Minnesota team, but he's at least playable on this 2-game slate. Then I do want to mention Jaden McDaniels just because he has been starting in place of Patrick Beverly. If Patrick Beverly's out again, I guess McDaniels will be an okay value play, but even in these spot starts, like, he really hasn't been doing that much. He's cheap, so I think it's like fine to go to McDaniels, but not a guy that I'd be too excited about even if he does start again. I think if Beverly plays like at 4,200, he's actually going to look like a pretty good value play today. So, we'll definitely need some news there from Minnesota because I would like Beverly a lot if he plays. But that's probably it for the Timberwolves. I think we really talked about like all the guys I have interest in here. Now, looking at Golden State real quick before we do end the video. So you got Steph coming in at 10,300. On a 2-game slate, like, obviously Steph is in play. Now, I will say that, like, Steph, this season, he's just been like a complete roller coaster. He'll have a massive game, and then he'll have like 3 shit games, and then he'll have a massive game, then he'll have like 3 shit games. It's been so up and down for Steph. If Patrick Beverly plays, like, I don't think this is a great matchup for Steph because I think Beverly's going to be out there just trying to make life as tough as possible for Curry. But we know Steph has a massive ceiling. We know he can put up a big game any night. The ceiling for Steph is always there. His floor is just so much lower than guys like LeBron and Embiid and Cat. Like, we've seen Steph just put up like 25, 30 DraftKings points at times this year. Still think he's viable, but he's probably like my fourth favorite stud today. I would put him behind Embiid, behind LeBron, probably behind Cat as well. I think Steph looks a little bit better on Yahoo. If you play over on Yahoo, Steph's $40 over there. So like LeBron's 55, Embiid's 53. Then you get a big drop down, and Steph is only 40. So like I think I'd be a lot more likely to play Steph on Yahoo than I would on DraftKings. On DraftKings, I just try and find the $1,000, get up to Embiid or get up to LeBron. But then the other Golden State guys, so I mean, Andrew Wiggins at 5,700, like I think's fine. This price point's a little bit cheaper than what we kind of have seen him priced at for most of the season, based off like his season averages. Normally he's priced like in the mid sixes, so we're getting a little bit of a discount on Wiggins. If this is a close game, Wiggins is going to play like 35, 36 minutes. He's been another guy that's just kind of been mediocre this season. We really haven't seen many big ceiling games from Andrew Wiggins, but the minutes should be there in a close game. The price tag is solid. Like I think Andrew Wiggins is definitely in play today if you want to go to him. Jordan Poole I'm not as interested in, but I think Klay Thompson looks pretty appealing. 5,300 for Klay, fairly cheap on DraftKings, and on Yahoo he's fairly cheap over there as well, coming in at $17. So I really haven't been on Klay at all this season. He's been on a minutes limit for basically, so far this season, the entire season so far. He's probably going to be on a minutes limit again. Like Klay's going to be on a minutes limit pretty much up until the playoffs. They're not going to like push him heavy minutes, but we actually did see his minutes go up a little bit. He was playing, so first few games 20, 20, 21, then 23, 22, 23. Last game he got up to 26 minutes. So I'm guessing we get like 26, 27 minutes from Klay today. So far this season when he's played, like Klay's been about a fantasy point per minute player. He's, his usage has been great. He's had a ton of usage in the games that he's played so far. We know when Klay's out there, he will be productive. He'll take shots. He'll get some rebounds, get a few assists. I think at 5,300, projecting Klay for like 27 minutes, he probably projects out for close to 30 DraftKings points. So I definitely like Klay as a kind of mid-range shooting guard option. Haven't really been on him, but I think on a two-game slate like this with minimal options, Klay actually does stand out as a solid play. And then Otto Porter Jr. is another guy I like in the mid-range, 5,100 on DK, pretty cheap. On Yahoo, same price tag as Klay, $17 over there. So we've seen Otto Porter start the last few games in place of Draymond. They went with Jonathan Kuminga for a little bit, and then they switched things up and went to Otto Porter. So the last 3 games that Otto Porter has started, he's played 27 minutes, 31 minutes, and then last game against Dallas, which was a blowout, he only played 20 minutes. But he's been productive in the minutes that he's gotten this year. 34 DK points in 31 minutes, put up 22 DK points in only 20 minutes last game. He's been close to a fantasy point per minute player this season, and I think if this game is close, we will see Otto Porter play, high 20s, maybe like 30 minutes. At 5,100, like I think Otto Porter looks like a solid play on this slate. Again, it's only a 2-gamer. We don't have a ton of standout options. I definitely like Otto Porter at 5,100. And then the rest of the Golden State guys, it's kind of always the same thing when it comes to Golden State. They have a lot of bodies. I will say that Iguodala is out today. I totally forgot about that. So Iguodala is out, which definitely makes me feel better about Otto Porter. With Iguodala out, like maybe you see a few more minutes for like Damian Lee or Jonathan Kuminga. But when it comes to the bench guys for Golden State, like they just have so many bodies. They still have like 6, 7 guys they're going to play off the bench that they're going to give minutes to. If you want to take a dart throw on like Gary Payton maybe or Bielitsa or something, like I guess in a blowout, like these guys could definitely get there. We've seen Kuminga get a lot of run and blowouts this year. If you want to play hoping for a blowout, I mean, on 2-game slates, like I think that's fine. I never play hoping for a blowout most nights, but on these type of slates with so few plays, you can definitely get weird and just build hoping for a blowout, which obviously Kuminga would really benefit, Bielitsa would really benefit, Damian Lee would really benefit. But I think you're really just kind of looking at dart throws here with all these Golden State bench guys. I don't have much confidence in anyone off the bench from the Warriors. If I had to play anyone off the bench, it probably would be like Gary Payton at 3,900, just because he's been like one of the more consistent parts of the rotation. He probably plays like 20 minutes. So, for 3,900, like I think Gary Payton's fine. But yeah, I don't have much confidence in the bench guys from Golden State. That's probably it for the Warriors. We didn't really talk about Kevon Looney. I mean, at 4,700, like I think Kevon Looney probably plays like high 20s into the 30s in minutes. They're probably going to want him out there guarding Cat. Kevon Looney hasn't really shown much upside this season. When he has good games, it's usually because he gets a lot of rebounds and maybe he blocks some shots. He's not really going to do much else outside of that. But for 4,700, he's kind of cheap. He'll probably play like 30 minutes. I think Kevon Looney is an okay option. But I do kind of question his upside just because we haven't really seen much of a ceiling from Looney this year. Doesn't have a ton of big games. Normally, he's a guy that's going to put up like 25, 26 DraftKings points, which is solid at 4,700, but that's not really like a winning score. So I think Looney's playable, but not someone I have a ton of interest in overall. But that's probably it for this 2-game slate, guys. Again, not much to talk about, only 2 games. We will have a much bigger slate on Friday. I can't remember exactly how many games we have Friday, but we'll have a bigger slate Friday that we'll talk about. I'll still be live an hour before lock for this 2-gamer, so lock is at 7:30 Eastern. I'll be live on my YouTube channel at 6:30 Eastern to talk through this 2-game slate with you guys, answer any questions you have, any news that comes out during the day, if any, we will talk through that as well. But again, guys, appreciate you watching the video. I hope you did enjoy. If you did, hit that like button down below. Hit that subscribe button as well. Go check out the sponsor of the video, PrizePicks. Go sign up for PrizePicks. Use code NOAH when you do, and PrizePicks will give you a 100% match on your first deposit up to $100 when you do sign up with my code. You can take a look at the props that PrizePicks has available for Tuesday's NBA games, or not Tuesday, but Thursday's NBA games. They will probably add more, as we get closer to tip-off Thursday. You'll start to see more projections pop up. They'll add fantasy point projections as well. You take the over or the under if you have a lean one way or the other. You potentially can win up to 10 extra money on PrizePicks. So go sign up over there. Use code NOAH when you do, so you do get a deposit bonus when you sign up. But yeah, guys, best of luck on this little 2-game slate. We'll be back on Friday with a bigger slate to talk about. Hope to see you guys then. Good luck tonight. Until next time, peace.